So my first question to you, because I know that I was reading through your website and I saw you're from New York, and that you kind of had your own, I guess, breakthrough moment where you kind of realized that, like, the way you were living, that there were some changes that needed to occur and you wanted to find more of a holistic way of being. And so you found your purpose in coaching wellness and empowering women to kind of just find that in their own personal lives and professional lives as well, which I think is just really cool. And I wanted to just kind of ask if you could, like, first kind of talk about that, like your experience finding a holistic way of being and what that really looked like for you.
Absolutely. So I actually moved to New York 3 years ago. I'm actually from the Midwest. And if you think about the Midwest, it's completely different from New York. When we think about New York, it's, hustle and bustle. It's go, go, go. And when I came here, I was like very overwhelmed. And, it was a new city for me. And I came here and I was working in the HR industry, and I took a job that I completely hated, and I was burnt out every single day. I was working 12-hour days. I was waking up just super unfulfilled. I was very unhappy, and I noticed it bleeding into other parts of my life. So I moved in with my boyfriend, and I would come home every single day and I would talk to him about my job. I would tell him how unhappy I was. I started not taking care of myself. So I have always been involved in sports. And as soon as I got to New York and took on this job, I stopped working out. I did not eat right. It affected my sleep because I was always stressed out and overwhelmed with work. So then I didn't get a good amount of sleep either. So I noticed it trickling into other areas of my life, but I guess I didn't realize that at the time. And so I just kind of kept trucking on with life. And finally I was like, I can't do this job anymore. So I quit and I went into another job, and it was the same thing. So I job hopped a couple different times, and finally I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm not passionate about this. Like, I just would wake up every day just super unfulfilled and depressed and empty almost inside. And finally, like a little bit before the pandemic, I was just like, enough is enough. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I started brainstorming and thinking about what other things I'm passionate about. And wellness came to mind. And I've always tried to live a healthier lifestyle. Like, prior to me moving to New York, I would always be that nurturing person for my friends. I would always give them advice. They would always come to me, like, just for my thoughts. They actually called me mom. Like, they just would look up to me as like this mother. So I always tried to live this healthier lifestyle for myself. And so I was like, you know what, I definitely want to do something within the wellness industry, but I didn't know what exactly. So I continued to brainstorm, and I took actually this career personality finder quiz, and it actually gave me a lot of my strengths and challenges. And this light bulb moment kind of went off for me, and I started doing research, and I came across this holistic wellness coaching certification with the IWP, which I'm doing right now. And it talked about the holistic approach to looking at life. And I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, this is it. I didn't even need to really look at other certifications or other outlets. But I did anyways, because I just wanted to make sure that I was making the right decision. And I just kept coming back to, nope, the holistic wellness certification, the IWP is the one I want. And it was the most expensive one, but I knew that I would be getting my money's worth with it. I knew that I would be educating myself and getting everything I need, the support and everything. So I signed up for it, and now I've been 7 months into getting my certification. I'm literally a couple weeks away from getting certified, which I'm super excited about. But to answer your question, what living this holistic lifestyle means to me, it's really looking at your lifestyle and going, what is out of balance for me? And that's kind of what I did for myself. I noticed that my purpose, for example, was out of balance, right? Because I was waking up every day feeling empty inside, unfulfilled. And then I noticed it leaking into other areas, right? With my relationship with my boyfriend, and then myself, and then my sleep. So we can kind of look at the holistic approach as like a wheel. There's 12 elements. So not just your career, not just relationships, your body, your rest, the water you're drinking, the food that you're eating and putting into your body, the air, the sun, all of these 12 elements make up a person. And you can kind of tell, okay, what's out of balance for me? If one portion of your life is out of balance, it's likely affecting other areas. So that's kind of what this holistic approach is. It's looking at not just your body and, working out, but what other, elements are, causing you to be out of balance.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a really interesting way to look at it, because I hadn't thought about as a wheel, and there are so many areas of your life where that can be affected and without you even realizing it. And I think, now I'm starting to kind of see those connections more, I think, because before it was before COVID, even when I was on campus and I was working and doing classes full time and a part of other organizations, it was always go, go, go. And I was just, doing things, and it never really dawned on me, okay, this is affecting the way I'm sleeping. This is affecting what I eat. If I'm rushing to, just grab the meal real quick, or if I'm, this affects my social life as well. And so it really does tie into everything. And then when I came home, it was everything kind of paused, and it was just almost shocking, because then you're just so used to doing things. And it was almost my mom was telling me it's okay, you can be calm now. It's just be in the moment, and it really took me quite a bit of time to just come to grasp with that. And I think a lot of people now, experiencing COVID, have been trying to find that motivation outside of work, outside of just the regular busy life, and that we're so accustomed to just doing things and having this happen immediately, to now, okay, we have to kind of sit back and wait and just pause. And so it's a completely different experience, I think, once you come into that space and you're focusing on those aspects of yourself that maybe you've neglected in the past.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I can definitely relate to what you were saying there, and I think moving forward too, because I think about the fact that I'm graduating this December with my bachelor's degree in multimedia journalism. And so I've
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Feels so good.
Yeah, it does, because and I'm graduating early, so it's amazing. Added bonus. But yeah, I think that aspect, like you said, of your professional life, that's something that me and my other colleagues and friends, we talk about that too. We're just well, do we want to go into this industry because we know how hectic it can be and how busy it is and time consuming, and there's so many just different stressors, I think, that occur, and we're just we want to find it. Even my friends that are not in my major, we talk about we want jobs that we can be passionate about and feel fulfilled with. And I think that, in every job there is value that comes along with it. And I think that it does prepare you in different ways to be able to do the work that you're doing as you're going through the classes and learning and studying. But for me personally, I think that, I would definitely want not just a job, but a career where I can, not just do work just, for the financial aspect, but also do work that's fulfilling and gives me purpose.
Yes.
Because so many times we kind of overlook that, or we think, oh, if we work this many years or do this job for this, and then we'll, eventually we'll get there. But it's like, no, can we do now to really have that already, and be happy about it,
Yes.
in every day that we're doing it. So I think that, I think that, shifting that mindset, I think that's one of the things that you specialize in is like, how do we, move and come into that mindset frame of being where we're like, okay, we're going to take this opportunity now to do this instead of waiting or, prolonging that stress and things like that.
Yeah. And I think, mindset shifting is something that takes time. It's not something that is an overnight thing. People are like, oh, you're such a positive person. Like, you just wake up and you're positive. That's not it at all. Like, it's definitely something that's practiced because our minds have been wired to think a certain way. Because obviously, for example, I'm 31 years old. I've been thinking this way or having these thoughts for 31 years. You know how long it would take me to like rewire some of the negative beliefs that I have about myself? Like that would take so long. So it's it's first of all being patient and just being like, okay, like if you do have a negative thought, acknowledge it and go, okay, how can I shift this into thinking differently? For example, I'm not smart enough, right? Like that is something that a lot of us, might say to like ourselves, right? Well, go back to your accomplishments. Go back to things that you have achieved. You obviously are smart enough because here you've done A, B, C, D. Like write down all your achievements. So that's like just an example of something that I have struggled with is some of these self-limiting beliefs. And everybody else has self-limiting beliefs, whether it's I'm not pretty enough or I'm not smart enough or whatever it is. Like we all have them. And it's just kind of rewiring our brains to thinking a different way. And it takes time, like I said, but it's also just being mindful of them and coming up with different strategies into rewiring our brain and looking at, okay, what's something, when it does come up, what's something I can do to shift that. So that's something that I do in my program with other women. That's something that I do with myself. And I have my own coaches. Like I am all for like people should have coaches. People should have therapists. Like we all need that support because we can't always do all these things on our own. So I definitely have my own personal coaches as well because I have some rough days as well, just like anybody else does. So it's good to have that support when, some of these things do come up.
Yeah, I think I'm happy that you mentioned that as well as far as like having a support system in place because I think so often and especially in our culture in the society, like we try to do things ourselves or we limit what we can do or what we believe we're qualified to do. And we, compare a lot of the times, different things that we have or other people or that we lack, that other people have. And I think that if we, kind of take a moment to really reflect on, like you said, what achievements have done and what we do possess in ourselves, then that kind of takes some of that, stress and negativity away and off of us. And we're able to like put more positive energy out into the atmosphere. And we're able to, when we're believing in ourselves and supporting ourselves, we can then support others the way that they need to be supported. Because I think it all, like you said, kind of trickles down and manifests in different ways. And, I am happy that you said like that you have, other people that you can rely on and talk to as well, because I think during this time for me, it's been kind of hard to talk to my family sometimes about some of the things I'm going through because, while I think that they have done a great job of supporting me my entire life and I respect them, in everything that they do, sometimes it's hard, then to go back and criticize or certain things that might be negative. You start those thoughts in your head and you don't want to, kind of offend or perpetuate that negativity and project it onto them. And so having someone else that you can talk to, a lot of times, I have started like talking to a therapist, and also talking to my friends outside of my household, because I think, from in my personal experience, like it was always something I wanted to do, was to talk to somebody, but I never like sat down and like really like looked into, going and seeing a therapist or seeing someone. And but it was something that like I think I put off for a while, and I would just go to work or go to school, and I would just try to focus on other things, and it was really like it was really hindering what I could do, and I didn't realize it at that time, because I was just so fixated on like, oh, if I do this, then I'll be fine, or if I focus on this, then it'll be like a distraction. And I think a lot of times that's what we do, like with technology and just with other things, we like find those distractions and kind of like takes away from, or alleviates, or we use like alcohol or other things to kind of suppress those feelings, and we don't realize how much damage it's doing until it's like already like come to pass. So
that's big. Right. So, exactly.
I was gonna ask you, like, and you kind of touched on it already, some of those strategies and holistic plans that we can implement to kind of bring ourselves into a place where we don't rely on those coping mechanisms that aren't as great for us.
Yep. Yeah. So I think for me, one of the biggest things is your morning routine. Some people will wake up and just be rushing themselves naturally already. So already your day is kind of already thrown off, and then you're going to work and you're probably stressed out, and then you might have a rough day at work, and then you might want to go out for happy hour, and then it just kind of snowballs from there, which again, going out for happy hour, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like you kind of already have this like negative, like stressful day, you know what I mean? And you didn't really take care of yourself in the morning. And that's kind of what I did naturally through my time being in New York. I would just wake up and just like rush out the house, and I would just like rush myself and have anxiety and just be stressed. The number one thing I recommend is waking up and just, obviously getting yourself together. If you need to wash your face, brush your teeth, great. Start journaling like right away when you wake up, because when you wake up in the morning, your subconscious is kind of already awake still from sleeping, obviously. So start journaling, start writing down how you're feeling in that present moment, or maybe how you felt yesterday. A lot of my journaling comes from like the day before, because I always journal in the morning. You can journal at night too, but journaling about like the present, what you're grateful for, or maybe how you're feeling, or what you're excited about, or what you're looking forward to, like starting off in like a positive mindset. But also don't look at your phone the first thing you do. Like that's something that I've trained myself to not do. Do not look at your phone. That's something that everybody does. I feel like right when you wake up, you go on Instagram, you go on social media, check what other people are doing. Naturally, right away, you're setting yourself up to look at what other people are doing and comparing yourself. That's how you're going to be already naturally like kind of in a negative mindset. Like you don't want to wake up and the first thing you're doing is looking at other people's lives. No, like take care of yourself first. So wake up, don't look at your phone. I would say for at least an hour, don't look at your phone. Take care of you first. Journal. I like to meditate, or even breathe work. Like I've been doing breathe work sessions. So just different ways of breathing, closing my eyes, holding my crystals even. I have a whole bunch of crystals on my desk. And really just being in the present moment, closing my eyes, being at peace. That has really, really helped me a lot. Just slowing our minds down. Like that is really, really big. And a lot of people are like, well, I can't meditate. Like, I don't know how. It's really, really easy. And you don't have to meditate for 20, 30 minutes. A lot of people are like, I have to sit there and meditate for 30 minutes. I don't have time. It's like, no, you can start off slow. Like, that's what I did. I started off doing 3-minute meditation, 5-minute, then 10-minute, then 15-minute, like work your way up. Just listen to your body. What do you need in that specific moment? Is it a couple minutes? Great. Start off with a couple minutes. Like, don't pressure yourself into doing this big meditation practice. If it's newer to you, start off slow. And this could really be you putting on some music, or this could be sitting in silence. This could be you sitting on the floor. This could be you sitting at your desk. Whatever this is, going outside, whatever. It doesn't have to look the same for everybody. It's going to look different. Whatever is, comfortable for you, that's what I would recommend. So that's kind of what I have been doing. The breathe work has helped me a lot. I've actually cried a few times during my breathe work sessions because, I will be having some of these like visions of me as a kid, and then like it'll just bring up some emotions for me. And that's really, really cool to like vision some of these past moments that I've had, good or bad, and it releases some of these emotions for us. And that's kind of some of the things that you're holding on to. And it's, coming into some of these moments of yourself currently, and it's kind of blocking you in a way, right? Like it's holding on to some fears. So that's why I think meditating and breathe work and journaling are super essential for our mindset. So really setting yourself up for success in the morning is really crucial. Also just listening to your body as well. Like, if you are feeling stressed, acknowledge that and be like, wow, I haven't worked out in a few days. Like maybe I need to like go for a run, or maybe I need to lift some weights. Like get out of your head and into your body. That's what I always tell myself, like get out of your head and into your body. When you are working out, you are releasing some of these, things that are stressing you out. Weightlifting is really good for us. We're kind of like relieving some of this tension. And a lot of people are like, I don't really like working out. It's finding things that you're like, that you enjoy. Like if you don't like running, don't run. Like do something different, do something else. You don't always have to like go running. Like everyone's always like, well, I don't like the treadmill. I don't like doing that. And I agree. I don't either. So it's just finding some of these exercises that you do enjoy. For me, I have gotten into yoga even, that's definitely an exercise that a lot of people have been doing, especially during the pandemic. So learning some of these techniques, stretching is really good for us as well. I recommend doing that in the morning too, because it's like activating your body and waking up. So just finding other ways to relieve stress. But I think the biggest thing is just listening to your body, listening to yourself. What do you need in that present moment? Is it peace? Is it silence? Is it, reaching out for support? Is it like being around other people? What is it, and kind of going from there.
Yeah, I think that is really great, advice to anyone who is, struggling to find those like outlets and strategies to kind of help them cope with their stressors in their lives. And you touched on like a lot of great points, and I just wanted to kind of say as well that for me, I know that I'm not a runner, like as far as the treadmill goes. Like I will, when I was at school, I loved going to the gym, and that was one of my things. Like people would say like, oh yeah, you're like a gym rat because you're always at the gym. But it was really a way for me to alleviate a lot of stress, and I would go to the fitness classes that they had. And I love doing like Zumba, and I love doing like strength classes and doing weights and some yoga classes that they had as well. So, there's really so many different ways you could, get that physical activity. And I love that you mentioned also like breathing too, because I think so many times we forget to just take a breath and take a moment to just like sit and really like reflect. And you really like touched on so many things, because I'm right now I'm actually taking a stress management class, and that's been like really eye-opening for me too, because a lot of what our instructor has been saying kind of refers to what you were talking about. And she said like herself, like she's mentioned personally some of the things that she was going through in her life. And when she started talking to therapists, and they were telling her, have you worked out at all? Like, and she's like, no, I'm going through, divorce. I'm going through this and that. And I don't have time. I'm not emotionally in that mindset of doing it. And she's just like, just try, start with like a minute, start
Right.
with a couple minutes and just do it and work up to it, like you were saying, on a daily basis. And it really does make a difference. And I think that, if you, I like to say, like, I'm always in a mindset of challenging myself, because I am kind of an overachiever.
Yep.
So I always like to challenge myself. So some of the challenges that I've started doing, some of the things I've started like writing posts about, or like doing like gratitude challenges, and doing like mindfulness challenges, and doing and also like faith challenges. And I've been journaling. I would kind of just sit in my room and journal, and doing those types of challenges, and creativity and things like that. And so trying to hone in on some of those skills as well, because I think a lot of times we neglect to do that. And so those have been like really huge for me, because it's really allowed me to kind of just take a step back and just like reflect and be mindful and be present in the moment, which I think has just brought me a lot more calm and a lot more like stress relief. And really helped me develop like that holistic mindset, and be more invested in that. Because and I think, like you said, when you first wake up, like that was one thing I was really like centered on, was I would just, turn off my alarm, and then I'd start looking through social media or something. And that was like the first thing. You just grab your phone. And I realized, like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the first thing I do when I wake up. Like, because I've had these conversations before, and it's like, do you look at your phone first? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And like my friends, like, we talked about that. And it's so it can be very hindering to you, like when you first wake up, because it's like the first thing you do is you start looking and you start comparing yourself, or you're like, oh my gosh, they were doing all of this and I haven't. And I feel like that can be, and I think that also, in the midst of a pandemic, like seeing people going out or seeing people doing other things, that can be really hard as well when you're stuck inside at home. But you know that you're doing it for your own health and safety, and everyone has their own personal reasons for doing different things.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think it comes down to, putting yourself first, and kind of allowing yourself to just be present in the moment, and just taking a moment to just like turn off your phone, or put it aside. And like you said, like I purchased like a journal that I could just write in, just blank. And it was funny because I used to get so many journals growing up. My family would just give me them like on Christmas or birthdays, because I'm a writer, and they're like, we know you like to write, so they just hand me them. And I used to get annoyed, that they would give them to me sometimes, because I'd have so many, and I'd be like, I'm not gonna write this much. And now I'm just like, I need more journals.
Now you're like, I need it.
Yeah. So it really does, like, it comes back around to, at the end of the day, like finding those ways to meditate, and having that release of stress. So I'm so happy that you mentioned that as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I think even if you're not like a runner or something, you can still like, I like to walk, or just take a stroll, like on a trail or something. And or just like I just go around the neighborhood, a few times.
Exactly.
And it helps, like, just to have that sunlight and have that nature time with nature.
That's big. That's a really, really big one, is getting outside. A lot of us are working from home right now, or just, our homes are at home. So, or our work is at home. So a lot of people forget to go outside because you're trapped in all day. You're sitting at your desk. And even me, I'm trying to get into a habit of getting outside at least 15 minutes. Either that's walking to the store or walking around the block, getting some fresh air, getting some sunlight, being in nature. Like, we all need that to feel grounded. We need that. So if you can leave your house for at least 15 minutes a day and just get some fresh air, it literally, you're going to see a difference. You're going to notice, like, okay, I feel a lot better. I don't feel as stressed or whatever the case is, or as tired. We definitely need that fresh air every day, even just like opening up your windows as well. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Sometimes it's just like nice to just go sit out on the porch or in the backyard and just, yeah. And I think that, yeah, like you said, or just like opening up a window, like a lot of us, like we take that for granted, just having the outside time to ourselves. And
right.
Yeah, so, and just like in immersing ourselves in nature. So that's a really big one, because I think, yeah, and I used to, there was like a walking trail by the house where we used to live at when I was in high school, and I used to love going out there. And it was just like for miles you could just walk, and there's just nothing except for like trees, and I loved it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So and people would just be biking and running and walking, and it was really great. So definitely I think that there are just ways that people can kind of do those similar things as well. And I wanted to kind of switch gears a little bit, and I don't know if you can talk a little bit more about this, because I was reading also that you do a little bit of work in like acupuncture. And I didn't know if you could talk about some of the benefits of acupuncture, and also maybe some other like alternative medicines or therapies that you've come across as well.
Mm-hmm. So acupuncture is something newer that I've gotten into during the summer, and I don't actually perform the acupuncture. I work alongside the acupuncturist at the studio that I work at. It's a boutique here in the city. And I absolutely love acupuncture. I have noticed a tremendous difference with my anxiety that I have. And acupuncture is something that is not a one and done type of thing. It's something that builds over time. So the more you go and do acupuncture, the more benefits and relief you'll see. So acupuncture has been around for years, like thousands of years. It's a traditional Chinese medicine. So what it is there's needles, and people are like, oh my gosh, like needles, I'm scared. Needles, like the needle size is a 1/30th size of a regular needle at the doctor's office. So it's very, very tiny. You can barely see them. And what it does is you have different points in our body. We have different points in our bodies. And the needles help to clear some of these blockages. So if you're stressed, if you're having trouble sleeping, if you're on your period even, for example, like it helps to treat over 3,000 different things. Arthritis, if you want to get pregnant, like it's so amazing. Like there's been a lot of people that have actually come into the studio that are trying to get pregnant, and they get pregnant from acupuncture. Like it is amazing. So I've been going for the past few months, and I actually go on a bi-weekly basis. I try to go weekly if my schedule allows me to. But I literally go for my stress and my anxiety. And, anxiety has been something that I've been struggling with for a long time. And like I told you earlier, during the jobs I had in corporate, I would be up in the middle of the night. And now since I've gotten acupuncture, I don't wake up in the middle of the night anymore. Like I don't wake up at all. Not even once. So it really, really helps. You just have to keep going. So that's one of like the natural holistic remedies I would recommend. And, it can be expensive. The studio that I work at is fairly inexpensive. Honestly, your first time is $65, and anytime after that's $85. I know other studios charge hundreds of dollars for sessions. It just depends, like where you are, I guess, and what studio you go to. But like I said, acupuncture helps treat dozens of things, and I think gut health is actually really, really important as well. What we're putting into our bodies is going to help with just general things, stress, sleep, all of those things. So definitely take a look at also what you're putting into your body. So like a probiotic is something that I have been starting to take as well through my journey. I just have like a powder probiotic, so I put it in my tea, or, something that I'm drinking in the morning. And a probiotic really helps with kind of just like balancing out the bacteria in your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have like these bad bacteria or just like things in your stomach that aren't kind of sitting well, chances are it's going to kind of put off maybe, how you are interacting with people, or maybe giving you more anxiety or affecting the way you're sleeping and going about your day. So kind of like gut health as well is a big thing, and taking a look at maybe sugar, like what you're eating. Are you somebody that, reaches for, chocolate in the morning, or, excuse me, are you, eating fruits, or what are you, just taking a look at the things that you're putting into your body right away in the morning, trying to maybe just go after something that's going to be better for your stomach, maybe some more fiber, things like this. So looking at gut health is big. Another natural remedy maybe would be just like essential oils.
Mm-hmm.
So like smells, things like that is really big. I got a diffuser over the summer, and I just put in maybe some eucalyptus or lavender. I have candles, but I'm trying to get away from the candles and really just trying to like go after just essential oils. And you can rub them actually on your chest if you're sick, or behind your ears if you're stressed, like just different points of your body, like even like your wrists, just like the different pulse points within your body. So I try to sometimes do that if I'm stressed. I'm trying to think of other things. I love crystals. Personally, I love my crystals, and that has really helped me in just getting, just present. And so I have gone to a crystal shop. Some people will buy their crystals online. You can do that. I personally am about like building a connection with your crystals. Like it's all about like when you go into these shops, like what speaks to you, like you can buy them online, but you don't know where they're coming from. Like you don't know who they're from. So I'm just all about doing that. So I go into the crystal shop and go, okay, this one is really like speaking to me. And also asking yourself, what do I need this crystal for? Do I need like more self-love and compassion for myself? Or do I need to slow down and be in the present and just like be at ease, like be more calm, like be more grounded? What do you actually need? And also just like talking with the people that work there even as well, because I'm not an expert in crystals, but they are like they've been doing it for years. So maybe ask them for their advice as well, and just see what speaks to you. But yeah, I've been into crystals for a little while now, and they just bring me a sense of peace and clarity, and they make me feel better as well. And I just go outside with them. You can hold them in your hand when you're meditating as well. And doing your breathe work sessions, that helps a lot as well. So those are just a couple of things that I recommend for like holistic, just natural remedies.
Yeah, I think that's like something I have tried is like the essential oils that you mentioned. And like me and my mom, we both have like different oils that we use, and she will like always, I see her like she'll use them like on her neck or behind her ears or something like you said, and she has a diffuser. Yep. And I just got my diffuser not too long ago because I've been wanting one, and I used to like keep I had like a kind of a wax warmer for like candles and other scents before, but I wanted to kind of start to use like the diffuser more and see like if that makes a difference, because I like I like the fragrances like lavender and like lemongrass and peppermint and things like that. So yeah, and they all have like different purposes like you said, and it's really important, like you said, if you're using essential oils or using crystals or something else, that you can know what your body needs and what your mind needs at that moment, and really listen to what do you need in that moment. So if you're like feeling like exhausted and you're like I need more energy, or if you're feeling like I need to be calm and I've just been working and I need to just relax, like that those are really just great like natural remedies that you can use and have different effects on your body. So And then I like that you mentioned also with the acupuncture, like if you're trying to get pregnant, or if you have like, period issues, or if you're just trying to alleviate stress in areas and tension in your body, that it's really another great mechanism, because I think that's something I've always wanted to try, acupuncture, and I've heard different things about it. And, I still want to do that. And I think that that's great to know that there are like great, it's a great outlet to kind of get you into like a new like place in your mind and in your body. And a great way to alleviate stress, like you said. So I think that it's important, because a lot of times we, will go straight for medication, or or in our society, we're just like, popping pills, and it's really become like an epidemic in and of itself, with pharmaceutical companies and things like that, trying to, promote different things. And a lot of times we forget that, like, there are natural things that supplements we can take, and also just in our food, what we put in our bodies, that can affect just how we react to certain things. And I know, like, my grandparents are diabetic, and so it's really important that they make sure that they eat and throughout the day, and that they're taking their medications and things like that. And I think you notice it a lot more, like if their levels drop or things like that. And so it's kind of made me more conscientious of like what I've been eating and how I'm feeling, if my sugar gets too low, or if my blood pressure is too high, or things like that. And so a lot of times they can be treated by, just having, like you said, a healthy gut, and making sure you're like focusing on nourishing your body and replenishing, those vitamins and minerals that you need, that, we don't really think about so much, and making sure we're getting like a colorful meal as well. And then, because I think that's another thing too, we like to go for the food that might pacify us in that moment. Like, so when you're stressed, you might reach for like some dessert, some ice cream or cheesecake or something, or like some chips. And it's like, depending on your cultural beliefs and your religious beliefs, like it kind of depends. But I think overall, like, there's just foundational things that everyone needs to be nourished, and be making sure that we have the right nutrition, and value that above, everything else that, because I think that what we put in our bodies really affects how we are on the outward, end of that spectrum. So, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big thing that I also kind of neglected in myself through the years as well, is just like, a big thing for me is I will be so busy that I know that I'm hungry, but I don't take time to eat. And it's like your body gives you fuel. Like when you eat, it gives you fuel. Like you need to give yourself food. If you're running thin, if you're running tired, when was the last time you ate, and what did you eat? Was it giving you what your body needed? You know what I mean? Was it something that was fulfilling you, and fulfilling your body? And one thing that I actually also got into was like looking at our chakras, the 7 chakras, which I am obsessed with right now. So I have actually a chakra Bible. And like yesterday, I noticed kind of like my energy being down, and kind of like my self-esteem as well. I'm on my period right now too. So it could just be like my emotions like going up and down, as we all kind of know that's what happens when we're on our period. But I was looking kind of at my chakras and going like, okay, what's out of balance? And I was looking at the sacral chakra, because that one's associated with like self-esteem and stuff like that. And it was basically like I love this chakra Bible, but I love the chakras in general, because you can, based off of what chakra is out of balance, it also kind of tells you like what foods to eat, or like what you should, in terms of getting your chakras more back in balance, like what should you be putting into your body. So like for me, yesterday I could look at the sacral chakra and go, okay, it's associated with yellow. So I need to eat more yellow foods, bananas, yellow peppers, these other things that are just going to get my body more nutrients and just more yellow foods that I really need to kind of get that more in balance. So sorry, when you had said nutrients and all this and that, it kind of just reminded me of yesterday how I was feeling. And I was kind of neglecting myself in terms of like what I was putting into my body yesterday. And I was like, oh yeah, like I should be eating some more bananas maybe, or something that will give me some more energy and nutrients for my sacral chakra. So that's another thing I wanted to touch on in terms of like the natural remedies. It's just like looking at the chakras and seeing what's out of balance for you.
Yeah, I think, you don't have to apologize, because I was interested to hear what you had to say, because I had, read a bit about chakras and just in terms of like, the different aspects of your body, and based on those colors, it really does reflect like, what you're eating and how that, all comes back into play when you're talking about your self-esteem, and you're talking about, your energy and everything else, and incorporated in that, because it's really like, based in historical, like, things that they found that work. And I never really thought about that until like I started reading, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting, because like,
right, exactly.
Yeah, like it makes a lot more sense when you think about it in that way. And so that's something that I think a lot of people don't really consider, and it's something I want to continue to learn more about myself. So yeah, it's really fascinating, I think, and a great message to just remember, like those nourishing aspects. It all comes back to you and how you feel and what you do. To really have that whole sense of yourself, and be aware of how you're feeling completely. So yeah, that really is, I think, great in terms of the chakras, and that was pretty much like all the questions that I had. I was kind of just, and really it was like more of just having that conversation with you, because I was just like thinking of all these things as they came up, and I didn't know if you had anything else that you wanted to add, or anything else that you have done more recently or is starting to do.
I'm definitely starting to gravitate towards learning more about inner child work, because a lot of us have past traumas that, or traumas from the past, maybe that stem from our childhood, that we still hang on to. A lot of these traumas and anxiety that we have right now in our everyday life stems from childhood. So, for example, for me, I moved a lot when I was a kid. So that's why I have anxiety now, because things that I went through as a kid. And I think people don't realize maybe some of the things that they went through when they were young has really stemmed into their adulthood right now. So I'm starting to research, like, okay, how do I feel now? But also, like, what was my childhood like? Looking back at what are the things that that maybe are still coming up for me, and maybe some of these traumas that I experienced that I necessarily haven't let go of, that I want to work on, because some of these things are showing up in our adult life, and it's actually causing us harm in terms of growing. So a lot of us get fear in growth and moving forward in, career or relationships, or just like confidence or whatever it is. Like, fear always comes up for us, and we get scared to like grow and move forward in some of these avenues for us, and we allow fear to kind of hold us back. And every person out there has had fear of moving forward with something. And it's because, again, it's our mindset and a lot of these like self-limiting beliefs that we have. And again, they stem from our childhood. So looking at our childhood and really trying to figure out what the root cause is. Maybe write down some of these things that are like that affected you as a kid, and kind of see what we can do about it now. So I'm actually going to likely be working with an inner child coach specifically, because I'm not somebody that does inner child work, and maybe it's something that I could do in the future because I think it's really interesting. But I'm going to work with my own personal inner child coach, because I really, really don't want some of these fears or things that I've experienced in my past to affect my future. Like I want to be somebody that is always like wanting to strive for more and just be fearless. And we obviously, all of us want that, but there's always going to be things that come up in our lanes to hold us back and to block us. And we definitely need to be more mindful of some of these things that are holding us back, and how what are some ways that we can kind of fix that. And so I acknowledge it. I see that it's happening to me, and that's the biggest thing. Just acknowledge like what's happening. A lot of people don't want to admit that they're afraid, or that something else is holding them back. But I acknowledge that some of these fears are coming up for me. So I definitely want to work with somebody that maybe is experienced in childhood trauma or inner child work, because once you're able to release some of those things that are holding you back, then you're able to move forward more confidently in some of these things that are meant for you. But I know that one thing that I learned as I was like buying some crystals the other day is dancing and singing help with inner child work. So if you're feeling like, I do have some things that are holding me back from childhood, or I do have some scars or things that I've gone through, dance it out, sing it out, like find ways to like be creative and like to like really kind of like get back to your childhood and having fun and being playful. Those sorts of little activities help. Again, I'm not like I'm not a child like inner child coach, but I think like working with one could always help. Obviously therapy too, but these are just some things that I'm kind of like researching, getting into more. So looking at like traumas and things from the past is big, I think. But yeah,
I agree with that as well. I think that a lot of times, like, we don't think about how much our upbringing has affected us as adults, and some of the things that we still hold on to that affect our relationships and our career choices, and our just overall development, and how we are able to grow and become a new, like, the best version of ourselves. And I think sometimes we hold on to that past self, and we look too much to the past and let that, instead of letting that define us, we should kind of work on those issues and make sure that we're moving forward in the best way from our present state of being. And I'm happy that you're looking more into that and aspect of being, because I think that's really important. And just like from in my own personal experience, like I know I've struggled with being more vulnerable and being open. And I think that's something that, I didn't really think about, but it affects, the way that I communicate with others and the way that I'm able to perceive different things and process different things. And so that's been something that I've been working on, is trying to allow myself to be more vulnerable and be more open and share my emotions and feelings within, my immediate family and friends, and also just with others that I come across, because that's, you the most authentic version of yourself can only happen when you move past that fear, and when you can and be open and honest and vulnerable and things like that, is when you find that true authenticity. And so that's been something really big that I've been working on. And, I think that a lot of other people, like you said, should work on themselves and work on finding those things that maybe they've struggled with in the past. And I've had a friend of mine who recently they reached out to me, and they were they were saying, I know this sounds weird. They're like, and we haven't talked in a while, and they were just saying how, like, everything in my life, everything's good right now, but I wanted to ask if you could pray for me. And they were saying that, they just felt like, everything is going so well, and I'm afraid that this isn't gonna, last, and that, something's gonna happen. And I think a lot of times we do that to ourselves. And we kind of, sabotage kind of good things that are going well, or things that, aspects of our lives, our professional career, or relationships, or if we're doing well financially, and we're just like, we don't want this to end. And so I was saying, I'll pray for you, and I pray that, you have that you're able to have gratitude for what's going good in your life now, and that you're able to just, sit in this moment and just embrace it as it comes. And as these changes come, we're always going to have different things that we fear. Like you said, there's always going to be a struggle. There's always going to be some type of stressor. But, how we manage that and how we react to that is really what we should try to focus on. And because if we don't, then, the moment's going to pass, and, that's going to be that. So yeah, it's really something I think that's been really helpful for me. It's just kind of finding that and finding that in prayer and meditation, and having that gratitude has been some of my coping mechanisms for fear and anxiety and things, like you said, too. So,
definitely. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So, I kind of just want to wrap up and saying I think that, the work that you're doing is amazing, and I hope that you can continue to, develop yourself personally and professionally, and help others along the way. I think that you're doing some really insightful, reflective work that, is really just all in holistic living, really something that is, a lifelong practice, so I think you'll never be bored. There's always always something new to learn about yourself. So I think that is great. And I am just so happy that I got the chance to speak with you today. And I think you've kind of opened me up to learning more, and there's definitely going to be a lot more growth to do. So I'm happy that we've gotten the chance to have that conversation today, and that you've been here with me. So I appreciate your time, and then anyone who wants to get in contact with you can do so through your website. Is that correct?
Yep, website or Instagram as well. Healing with Holistics, LLC. So you can reach out to me on Instagram or my website, either one.
Okay. Yeah, so I thank you for your time today. And
thank you so much, Destiny.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yes, I loved this whole conversation.